Welcome, welcome. Welcome, Echo Fox. Please let me know if the music is too loud or in-game music is too loud. I changed some settings today. Otherwise, we can play some. Nah, today I was actually doing an earlier stream. Reason for that is, let's go in game. The reason for that is that today we will get a patch, or I'm not even sure if we get a full-blown patch, but we will get the legendary challenge mode. So the race to world's first will happen today at, I think, 6 PM my time or 5 PM my time. So my usual stream time would overlap very, let's say, almost exclusively with the world's first race, and a lot of people will probably join that and watch that. So it will be like, okay, should I stream even though almost all my people will probably watch somebody else just to participate in the world's first race? So I thought, okay, I would probably just take another spot and stream probably in my afternoon, or welcome Alison, in your morning from Canada. So that's my reasoning here. If it turns out that a lot of people will join my stream today and it's actually a better time spot where more people actually watch my stream, then maybe I actually watch that. Yeah, it's fine. Of course, not everyone will do that, but I thought, okay, maybe some people want to see me stream and also watch the world's first race, so I guess that makes sense. And let's hope it's okay. Yeah. But if everyone agrees here, we will. I should rather stream in the evening, then probably I will do that in the future too. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so today I think it's Cold War Daily. Let's start with that one. So, welcome Filthy, welcome. I wanted to try it. Give me a second. There we go. Should work today. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't even bother with fractals when it's this kind of rotation. You know, sometimes I do daily fractals just because I like them, but Lonely Tower, Aquatic Ruins, if that's the combo, I wouldn't even consider doing them. You know, even if I needed gold, it's so annoying. I don't like it. I skip that day for sure. I want to do strike missions today. I want to play a little bit of World vs. World, and I want to play some PvP. So I do a full all game mode stream and don't go into fractals today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. So I wanted to do a Cold War. It's really boring. Let's start with a Cold War. Raid mode. Just do it Cold War once per week, just to get a little bit more loot. It's actually quite rewarding if you know what you're doing. Just do it once when the daily is happening. Today is the daily, so you get extra loot, and then you get one of those hums here. And the Cold War one is actually giving you 1 or 2 gold more, so it's actually quite worth doing when it's daily, just once per week. The reason that I now play as a druid, typically I like to play as Chronomancer. But in Cold War, you actually stand around quite a lot and you don't have a lot of enemies to hit all the time. So Chronomancer is actually quite bad there because you can't really apply alacrity consistently. Druid can heal and apply alacrity even though if you're not in combat, so that's actually worth it. That's the reason here. Yeah, I'm sorry for the sudden changes. I was actually noticing yesterday in the evening that, like I said earlier, that today will be the LCM release. So there will be the Legendary Challenge mode released later today. and I thought that it's quite stupid of me to stream there when everyone else is watching the LCM. That's the reason. That's why I wanted to switch it. And I thought maybe this time spot is a little bit less contested in other streamers, so that might make sense. Yeah, this is Druid. Druid is actually, I would say, one of the best, if not top 3 at least, of the supporters, for sure. So that's a good one. I really like to play Druid, but I think Druid you have to be, if you're really, let's say, want to go really try hard, Druid has a lot of options. You can swap a lot of weapons, you can swap a lot of pets, all your utility skills are somewhat flexible. So it's actually really crazy how much min-maxing you can do on a Druid. So I would say it's a fun spec for sure. Yeah, exactly. Tempest is another good thing that I would use on Cold War for that reason. Because on Cold War you need something that gives boons without needing to be into combat or having targets. So that's why I don't like to use Chronomancer there, because Alacrity you cannot really upkeep 100% if the enemies die all the time way too fast. So Tempest is really good there. Druid is really good. Maybe even Firebrand. Those help a lot. So that's why I swapped to that. And I hope that's helping. Thanks for the follow, Brian. Really appreciate it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, especially the off-hour strike missions, or the not Icebrood Saga Frei, we will do later as well. Those are quite fast, but the ones that are a little bit annoying, like Cold War, maybe even Fort Steel, those are really annoying and you don't get a lot of people. But I will wait and talk a bit until we get all the people, so that's, I guess it's fine. I have time for now. Nice, World vs. World Firebrand, really good. I mean, everyone will be happy if you play World vs. World Firebrand, because that's always people want to have more Firebrands. So we need quick DPS, I guess. Yeah, you join when the boons are covered. Perfect. So at least we have someone with good DPS then, I hope. Or are you playing your power virtuoso? No, I'm joking. You can come as anyone. Nice, Power Reaper. Power Reaper is actually... Yeah, I would say Power Reaper is probably easier than Power Virtuoso. Right, I can invite you if you're online. We have only DPS needed, so... I'm currently enjoying playing Chronomancer in World vs. World. Yeah, Chronomancer is a fun build, but the sad part is they really nerfed it. So I think Chronomancer in World vs. World, especially after the next patch where we get even more nerfs with the quickness application, it's actually a sad build. It's still good, don't get me wrong. I like Chronomancer in World vs. World as a support. 1 second. So I like Chronomancer as a support in World vs. World and stuff, but nerfs that they apply to it consistently, and it actually doesn't stop with the April 15th balance patch. We will get even more nerfs. It is really a shadow of its former self, and that's the sad part. Yeah, that's the really sad part. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, if you like it, you can still play it, of course. Yeah. Why do they do that? It's really good in Zerg play, or it was at least. Nowadays I would say it's still okay, but it's not broken anymore. Before it, you know, Chronomancer was the only Mesmer spec that provides a lot of support, even more than a core Mesmer. A core Mesmer has really nice utility skills. It has mass invisibility, it has time warp, it has the veil so that you walk through and you get stealth and stuff. So you have a lot of really strong utility skills. You have potentially even portal. But then you on Chronomancer, you get access to quickness and alacrity, what they nerfed a lot, and you don't need access to your clones because you can just use your shatter skills and apply those boons anyway. If you then run Chaos and Illusions, or Chaos and Inspiration rather, you get a lot of boons access, stability access, you get a lot of healing access, and that's all you need in World vs. World, yeah? And then with the rival, you get even resistance, even the portal and stuff. It's actually insane how much utility you bring. But they nerfed the alacrity. There is no alacrity at all in the World vs. World anymore in sharing. You can't share world alacrity anymore. It's just, it's gone. The only thing that is actually not gone is the Elite Elixir of Harbinger, but that's just 5 seconds, so that's not that much. Other than that, alacrity is completely gone. So that's one of the really high value things that Chronomancer had was alacrity. Now you have to play quickness. Quickness is good, but with the next balance patch, which happens at 15th of April, we actually get the big nerf to quickness as well. So Chronomancer will now be way harder to upkeep quickness at all. So that makes it way harder, and they nerfed the protection uptime so that it's almost non-existent on Chronomancer. So it's actually, you know, there are so many nerfs that they put on top of each other that oftentimes it's just not really worth it to run anymore if you compare it to Scrapper, if you compare it to Firebrand. It is still good, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that I would play in every single party anymore. It was back then, but now it's not. It's sad actually, because it was a really fun or is still a very fun build, but it's just, it was so oppressive they now wanted to nerf it apparently. Which is okay, I mean, that's their game after all. Yeah. I mean, it's fine, you can try it out in Cold War if you want, but you can also stick to Scourge, it's fine anyway. After this I will do some Iceblood Saga 5 strike mission if you want to join. As a DPS you can of course stay. I think Reaper is not very, but it's somewhat decently easy to play, and it's also quite fun. I would say compared to Scourge it's still harder. That much is sadly the case, but I mean, at some point you have to try something else, I guess. I mean, you don't have to, but I guess it makes sense. Welcome, Kaoloni. Welcome. Druid is so chill to play, it's actually crazy. Don't stand there. What do you think about playing Thief as your main for all modes? I think Thief as a main is interesting because the thing is, Thief is very niche. It's one of the only classes that has one playstyle, and it's almost exclusively played in all game modes like that. You don't have a lot of alternatives to play Thief. It's like the Assassin, you play as a DPS. The only exception to that is Spectre. Spectre plays like a Necromancer, like a healing Necromancer Thief mix. Yeah. So that's, I would say, Thief in that regard as a support is actually nice if you like to play Spectre. Otherwise, Thief is always some kind of assassin. It works very well in PvE as a DPS. It works very well in PvP as a roamer, as a just outnumbered situation generator. It works decent in a Zerg as someone that picks off enemy mages and stuff. But it always fills somewhat always the same role. So if you enjoy the role, I think it's a very decent main. But if you want to be someone like me that wants to play different builds, different roles all the time, then it's a little bit boring. You always play the same thing. You don't have a lot of options there. So I would say Thief is a nice main for someone that wants to stick to really one class and one playstyle all the time. But as soon as you want to swap, I think you only have Spectre, and that's it. Yeah. I think Spectre is very fun. I really like Spectre. With the recent buffs, especially with the upcoming patch, they will actually buff it even more. It's a really fun spec. I think it's my most, let's say, favorite spec of Thief, because it's so unique. It's really cool. And you get a blast finisher on your Scepter too now, which is really, really good. So will for sure help Spectre. Yeah. How is Ellie looking in roaming right now after next patch? So Ellie got a little bit hit. So Catalyst will be worse in roaming because you don't get quickness all the time. So before you have quickness now with your Jade Sphere in air, you get quickness, and that will be gone. It will be on your trait now, and the trait that you have to take is the Spectacular Sphere trait, which is the trait that is, so to say, the other trait that you would take is Staunch Auras. So you have to consider, do you want stability on auras, or do you want quickness? And that's actually a big decision to make. Do you want quickness to cast stuff faster, to be more aggressive, or do you want stability to be more safe, to cast stuff for sure? So I think Catalyst is nerfed after the patch, and it doesn't matter which kind of weapon you use. You can use staff, not staff, you can use a hammer, you can use dagger. All of them are somewhat nerfed with this change, but it's still worth it. And I would say Tempest and Weaver for roaming are not that great, so I think Catalyst is by far the best roamer when it comes to Elementalist. So I think the nerfs hits you somewhat hard, but it's not like you are unplayable. I think after the patch you will be somewhat of a very balanced S-tier spec that is very good in most situations, but it is not as broken as it once was, which is totally fine. I think you should nerf broken stuff. That's how it should be. So I would, if you like Elementalist, go for it. It's a very good roamer in my opinion. Is there a way to get ascended gear faster? I mean, what does, I mean faster? What that's interesting. To compare to what? Because the fastest way is to craft it, because then you can actually make it day one if you wanted to. Yeah, Tempest can do everything, that's true, but it's, I would say it's, in roaming at least, it's not as strong as a Catalyst. That's the part here. But it's true, Tempest is really good in Cirque play. And I would say Tempest is also decent for roaming. So you have multiple specs that you can play. Even Weaver is actually very decent if you can play it as a fresh air. Even if you play it as a fire Weaver, it's actually all very decent. So Elementalist is for roaming one of the better classes, for sure. Would say Guardian is the best class to main. Yeah, I would actually agree with that. Guardian is one of the best classes to main because it's probably always one of the worthwhile classes to run in any game mode, just because ArenaNet really refuses to nerf it hard. And it's also so flexible in what it can do. It has so amazing good core utility skills. It doesn't matter which game mode you play. It's just amazing in that sense. So typically, Guardian is a very safe bet. But of course, you should always pick a class that you enjoy. So if you don't like the class fantasy of a Guardian, you should not play it. That's just the truth here. You should always play a class that you like. That's way more important. Scatter is after the patch still S tier. Yes. It is lower in that sense. It's not as broken as before, but it's definitely still S tier because you can play builds that are actually not affected. For example, if you played the trait before on a hammer and you don't use your Jade Sphere all the time, then it doesn't change too much for you. But I would say it's a little bit of nerf, but it's still S tier. Yeah. There are 3 pieces of Ascended Armor in Wizard's World. That's true. That's like if you start on okay, special scenario, but if you start on this last day of the Wizard's Vault and you get all the stuff from the Wizard's Vault and you get it on the next day, the second pieces of 3 Ascended Gear, you actually get 6 Ascended Armor pieces in 2 days. That's one of the best ways to actually get it. But of course that's not usually the case. Yeah. I think Mesmer and Engineer is probably the best classes to play if you want the best overall class. Yeah, it's really hard. I think Mesmer is one of the best classes in my opinion when it comes to overall performance, but it's also not one of the easiest classes. I think Guardian is way more, let's say not easier, but it's way more accessible for most people. So that's my take. Engineer, I would say, Engineer I wouldn't recommend because in PvP it's actually not that crazy good. If you want to play PvP overall, I think it's a little bit worse there. So that's why I wouldn't say it's S tier for me and it's an overall class, but it's definitely A tier, yeah, if I had to rate it. So, yeah. Nice, no one died. Very good. This is an attack that I almost always see people die to. Very good. They somehow buffed Power Tempest. Yeah, it's actually crazy. I mean, I don't really know why they do that, because I think Tempest, in my opinion, should not be played as a power DPS. I think Tempest was always designed as a support. But if they buff it, I guess that's what they want, yeah. I mean, makes sense. I don't care too much. If people want to play Power Tempest, that's good. Are you very referring to PvE? Then you are completely right. If you're only referring to PvE, then it's completely fine. Then I would go with Mesmer or Engineer. They are really, really good. That's true. That's definitely true. I'm just always, if people ask me what class to play, I think the best answer is always to say, please play the class that you enjoy the most. Especially in PvE, all classes are totally fine to play. There's nothing that is actually not playable. And therefore, please pick the class that you enjoy the most. Yeah. Is support cutter viable in group roaming? Is it any good? Support Catalyst is weird, because Catalyst has amazing boon access. But the healing that you provide in a competitive scenario is not that good. Yeah. So what kind of support are you? A boon support that also wants to deal damage? I don't know. That sounds weird. I think for me it's a really niche build that you would normally not really play. I don't know. I think you don't. I wouldn't play it actually. I think it's not good. I think. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so Echo Fox, if you want to stay, we can do the Iceblood Saga Strike 5 mission. Alacrity heal mech is actually really good. It's nerfed in the last few months, or even years, but it's still very decent. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. That's true. Celestial Spectre is really good. Okay. Yeah, you can join, of course, if you're fast enough. Yeah, 1 second. Let me remove the group. Yeah, if you write me in chat, or then I can add you. Everyone is welcome. It's not too hard. We have one more spot for you, Count Lonely. It's meta. Yeah, it's meta. Yeah, sure. Link it, Sky. Link it. Should work. Are you already there? There we go. So no, take your time, take your time. I just don't want to have my friend list filled with people that I don't know. If I know people, if I want them to add to my groups and stuff, then I add you to my friend list. But if I don't have anything to do with you other than you are a viewer of my stream, then I can't add you, because then my friend list would be filled in no time. That's the sad truth here. Are Fractal Core Interior Masteries easy, or should I get Open World Masteries? It depends. If you're a Fractal player, I would say the Fractal Masteries are really good, because they also give you more loot and stuff and more agony stuff. So I think you should go for them if you like to play Fractals. If you don't engage in Fractals, or if you do it just somewhat not that often, I would not go for them first. That's the short answer here. I think the Fractal ones are very helpful to get higher Fractal levels, to get more loot and stuff. But if you don't do Fractals, there is no need, of course. That's the obvious answer here. And after the Iceblood Saga strike missions, we will take a look at one really interesting theory craft by Filthy regarding Condition Scrapper, or Hybrid Scrapper I would rather say. I really like that build, and I will give you my take on it, and maybe if I can, let's say, convince myself when I take a look at it and explain it on stream, maybe I will also make a build guide about it, if that's fine for you, Filthy. But let's first talk about it, because I would do some changes to the build that you crafted. And yeah, maybe I can also play a build, let's say somewhat similar build on maybe PvP and stuff if I want to. Let's see. I think it's for me, I don't know what you think about that, but for me in general, if someone comes up with a really good build, I don't mind if people would make a build video about a build that I came up with. I would rather have someone promote it even further, that the build is actually knowledge and acknowledged, and a lot of people actually know about it. It's way better than if you always say, no, that's my build, I don't want to share it. I think for me, that's something that is really important to me, that a build in Guild Wars 2 is not really something that I own. I want to promote builds that are good. If someone else came up with them, sure, I will credit them, but it's not like I say this is what I came up with. It's more like I want to promote very good builds and get it to people. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So if someone is not fine with that, of course I won't promote their build, but I think it makes sense, because you can't really... Oh, don't start it. That's fine. Interesting. I've only saw Condi Quick Scrapper, and Otto said there's no reason to play Condi DPS Scrapper because it's just like 400 DPS higher. I mean, that's obviously not a reason then why you would play it. You would rather want something that is actually performing quite well. But I think, I'm not sure if Filthy crafted this build to fill a specific PvE niche. I think it's more like you can use it as a solo build, you can use it as a world versus world roamer and stuff. But we will see. I will take a look at it. Holy shit, people are really lagging. Was it just me? No, because someone actually moved back there. Looked really weird. Okay. 20,000 ping. That sounds not very healthy. Yeah, it's fine. I would say Adopt, it's really good. I mean, we can see. I mean, I wouldn't say it's, of course, typically a build that is not known is probably not a meta build, but sometimes people are just not aware of it. Yeah, that's sometimes it's okay. I think a few years ago I had really bad ping. It was more like I didn't have like 20,000 ping, but I had, let's say, spikes up to 500 ping, and then it was fine, let's say, at 100 or something. And that is really bad, because sometimes you play PvP, sometimes you do whatever, yeah? And at some point you get a 500 ping spike, and just your character is running into a wall for half a second or something, or it's just not reacting to anything. You so often just die because of that. And more importantly, what is even more annoying, sometimes the game just says, oh, you didn't respond to my, let's say, issues or whatever the game was sending back and forth messages, and just disconnects you. That's so annoying. It's so bad. I was disconnected from my groups in PvP, in World vs. World, wherever. It was so annoying. So I'm really happy that I don't have that anymore. Yeah, but I can feel you. If you have a high ping, it's not very pleasant experience for sure. Thanks for the follow, Too Big. So you might ask why I'm playing support Chronomancer with Dagger. So Dagger has two big advantages. It's obviously a power weapon, but you don't really care. It's nice. It does a little bit more damage than any other weapon you could choose. That's already a big plus. But you take it for the easy access to more illusions. It's the fastest way to get more clones, or the most frequent clone access. So that helps a lot with your shatters. And typically you don't need the block and stuff from Scepter. So why would you take something that has less DPS than Dagger? And it's also quite nice because it's a ranged weapon. So you can just attack from ranged as well. So that's why I take it. If you see someone running Scepter, something like that, it's perfectly fine as well. Just in most cases, you don't need the block. That's the answer if you're wondering here. Also, I would like to make a hot take, but bench DPS is usually doesn't matter too much. Use it, it's more about utility, easy DPS cycle, huge defenses like, for example, Scourge Virtus and Past. That's true. That's absolutely true. But, and that's the important part, what people always forget, the benches are not made to be a direct comparison to how much DPS you should do in a fight. It's more how much potential a specific build has. So if a build that is supposed to be a DPS is benching at 35k, and you have a build that is benching at around 45k, you have a 10k DPS benchmark difference. And in most scenarios, I would say in 99.9% of the cases, these builds will also perform similar in real strike missions and real raids and stuff. So don't expect a build that has 10k less DPS to be a higher DPS than the 10k higher DPS, yeah, in a different fight. I think that will not change. Yes, of course, some builds are harder to execute, and then you see a difference. I totally get that, but just don't say, oh, I play a build that I crafted myself, and it does only this amount of DPS. That's you should always be careful with that, because a build that has less DPS to start with will always have less DPS if you are on a similar skill level. That's just very important. Yeah, glad, Malisan, you like it so much. Exactly. The bench is important as some kind of... You should look at a benchmark and look at the rotation that the Snowcrows guys post, yeah? And you follow it, you learn for it, you try to train it and try to execute somewhat close to it. But it's not like, oh, I have to reach 45k, otherwise it's not working. That's not how you should think about it. A build that does 40k DPS and is very safe, like a Condi Virtuoso, like a Condi Mech, something like that, is often a superior choice in really hard fights or in fights that you don't know very well than a build that does 45k but is way harder for you to execute. So that's very important to understand, sure. And I think Scourge and Condivert are by far the safest picks. Condi Mech is probably a bit better right now than Condivert just because it has 7k more DPS or something and is still very easy to play. But in general, I would say for really hard fights, Condivert and Condi Scourge are probably still the best progression builds, for sure. Yeah. I'm using fast loading right now. So that's why I'm so fast. But this guy has a really bad connection, so that doesn't help me very much to use fast loading. Uh, eh, let's see. Also, there are builds which work better in real scenarios like Condi Reaper and Dagger Dagger Condi Thieves. Yeah, that's true. You also have to take into account a lot of builds are... There are some builds that work better in real scenarios, but there are also builds that work worse in real scenarios. So for example, if you look at, let's say, the etchings of a spear elementalist, typically in a real scenario where you have to move, you can't stand in all your etchings all the time. So it's not always the case that you have something that is insane from how much usability it has. Sometimes it's also something that is a little bit worse, yeah? And you always have to take that into account. And then you always have to take into account your playstyle, because sometimes players are they just like to play safe and don't stand in the boss. And that's not always a very good thing, because in PvE you should stack together. But if you play a build that is requiring you to stand in the boss, then you should probably not play a melee build. Yeah. I actually think the spear on Elementalist nowadays is actually okay. They actually fixed it in a way that it's now working somewhat decently. But it's not like, I would say it's not my favorite weapon in that sense, because I don't like stand still. I want to have movement in my typical rotation, yeah. I want to be running around, yeah. That sounds weird. Not a lot of people would agree with me on that. But I think Guild Wars 2 is a game that really needs some movement to make it even more fun. And some builds are usually relying on relics on stationary bosses with Wells and Condi Guardian example. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's good. It's a good design in that way, because I want multiple DPS builds to be good depending on what kind of encounter you face. I don't want to have one build that is superior for everything. I think that's not a very well-designed game in that way. Yeah, I think that's very important, that we have multiple scenarios where some builds are very good and some builds are not that good. I think that makes a lot of sense in my opinion. And I hope they actually continue to develop the game like that, because it would be really boring if you have one build that is just performing perfectly well in every single game mode or in every single encounter. I actually think, for example, the Confusion change they made a while back, that Confusion now ticks a little bit more, let's say, how would I call it? More, it does damage where in a way that it does just use the damage more frequently without the boss having to attack. I think that's makes the game a little bit more boring. I think it's really cool to have a build that is extremely strong on bosses that hit you a lot and is quite weak on bosses that don't do that. I think that's a really cool design, but sadly they removed it a little bit. It's not like that anymore. I guess that's fine. How's my DPS? Let's check. You were top DPS. It's good. It's looking good. 27k, 28k or something on the last fight. Really? Is it that bad with Spear? I'm not sure with the Elementalist Spear, to be honest. I haven't played it too much to actually make a statement here how people react to playing with Spear. But I think why would someone be toxic to you just because you play a specific weapon? I mean, I guess people are just weird. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I really hope that we have some kind of changes to how all classes are balanced, because I feel like, for example, Elementalist was really good in the last few months for let's say 3 months or so, and then they nerfed it instantly. I think that's bad. You should make it in a way that you have classes that are perform well somewhat often. You know, you don't want to have builds that are like Condivert, like Scourge, up almost since their release have been broken. And I think it would be way better to have classes that are not seeing the light too often to actually be played as well. I think that would be really, really cool. But I have to be honest, the latest balance patches, they were not really... I like the direction from most changes, but I would say it seems like they don't want to really rework a lot of stuff all the time anymore. Which is fine, you know, you don't have to make really big reworks anymore. but I think that's what I wanted to have, and for example make Condi Scourge a little bit worse or more supportive or whatever, and people want to get another build that is somewhat decent in that as well. I can't. Can I rest it? Okay. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not in the balance team. I can't make the decision here. What to put out, what not to. I think that's their job, and I just can give them my opinion on that. That's all I can do. So here it's really important. I have to stress that every time I play this boss, please don't CC the boss when it's below 35% or something. Because in 90% of the cases it will bug and it will be really annoying. There are so many bugs with this boss, so please don't CC the boss with the, how is it called? This Spirit Nova skill when it's below 35%. It's really bad. You should not do it. We will probably not get the CC here, that's good, because then it will not happen for sure. But sometimes it completely disappears and we get the CC. No, don't CC, don't CC. Okay, very good. Because if you get the CC, sometimes the boss disappears and just stays hidden. Sometimes it's impossible to damage. Sometimes you can still cleave it down. Sometimes it's just doesn't do anything. It's a really weird boss. It's so buggy. It's probably the most buggy boss in all of Guild Wars 2. So just be careful. If you know this bug might happen, just don't CC it. Yeah. Just want to give everyone that listens this feedback, this info, so that we at least can in the future maybe get less problems, less time. Yeah. You see, it doesn't do anything. It's again bugged, but we didn't bug it, so it's just happening. Sometimes, I don't know. It's really weird boss. And what's the last one? The Bone Skinner. My favorite boss of those 5. It's fine, don't worry too much. We will kill it anyway. Well, let's say if you main warrior, what you're gonna do with the new CMs when Condi DPS is needed. You have no choice but to change your character or you will be benched 99%. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just not... Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I guess that happens sometimes. Yeah, Condi Warrior is just not very... Yeah, I mean, Warrior is also in a weird spot. I think that's the second class that I would say is not optimal in balance. So Thief is the first one, where I would say it's very stuck to one niche. And Warrior is the second one. I think Warrior in PvE needs some help as well. It doesn't have a real healing build. It doesn't have too many options when it comes for DPS, and it's also quite lackluster in some sense. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the warrior balance. Maybe we can... Yeah, sometimes it's weird. If someone stays in the other instance, then you can't really see it, but you can close it and sometimes the pop-up will then happen the other one. It's a little bit weird. So for this fight, I always bring as much CC as I can as a support, or even as a DPS, because if you get the CC, you skip around 20% or something of the health bar of the boss. So it's really helpful if you have a lot of CC, like Signet of Humility, like the Well of Senility. You get so much CC before you cast the Spirit Nova skill, so you actually get a lot of damage from that. So the fast loading is not paying off. Poor guy. Nice, he solved it. Let's see. Sounds good. Yeah, that's true. The Cleave of Thief is quite bad, but I think that's again something that I personally, maybe that's a hot take, but I think that's class identity. A thief should have really high DPS on a single target. But on a cleave target where you want to cleave it down, I think thief should be bad. I think that's okay to have builds that are designed in a way like that. I think that's fun. I think you should not have builds that are always doing the same DPS, they are always the same for every boss. I think that's boring. You want to have some class identity, something that works really well on something that works really well on another thing. I think that is, in my opinion, something that makes the game more fun to play, more enjoyable for me at least. I'm not sure if everyone would agree with that, but I don't know. I think that's my ideal world of game development, game balance, to have really interesting differences in the classes to make them worthwhile on some bosses, worthwhile on other bosses is something else. I think that makes a lot of sense. So, nice, we got the CC. And we got, hopefully, the stability for my subgroup. Let's see. So I can provide a lot of stability, blocks and stuff that helps my subgroup to just DPS and just ignore all the mechanics. When is the update coming today? It will be in 2.5 hours, as far as I know. I'm not sure if it's a really big update. It will be the LCM, but other than that, I don't know if there will be some new changes and stuff. I'm actually not completely sure when the Super Adventure Box Festival will be. I have to check, but it will be somewhat soon, I guess, as well. Okay, let's go for Cecile. Didn't break it. It's sad, but it's fine. We will kill anyway. I'm not even sure what kind of updates. We will see. I will just debate it tomorrow in the stream if we have big updates, if we have big changes. But it will not be some kind of content update. It will be maybe some features, but it's not no new content except for the LCM. That's it. Yeah. There's no point to make superior specs for every mode boss. Each spec should have their own to shine. Yeah, that's the ideal case. I mean, it's hard for a balanced team. I accept that, but it should be the ideal world. Yeah. Yeah. I also think it's really good if you have, in an ideal world, you would not only have a spec that works very well. For example, you should not have Thief doing only solo DPS. I think if you want to have Cleave, you should swap to a different weapon or something. That would be even better, that you don't have one spec that is actually, you know, stuck to one single idea of being the solo person that only does single target DPS. I think it would be even better if you have some kind of adjustments that you can make to make your build even then viable. I think that would be even better. So for example, like I'm running Dagger now if I don't need the block because it has more clone generation. But if I want to get the block of Scepter, then I swap to Scepter, losing a little bit of clone generation, but getting the defensive abilities. That's really cool. I think those adjustments make a lot of sense. But yeah, I think it's really hard to balance around that. No problem, no problem. I mean, I think if you join a group that has decent healers or somewhat decent DPS or just decent people in general, it's not a big deal. Bone Skinner is very easy. It's not a hard boss at all. You just need to have someone that actually knows how to heal there. Or you see, I think I didn't dodge once in this fight because I know the fight just by heart, and it's very easy if you have a healer that can provide a lot of healing blocks and stability. So you don't have to know the fight very well to actually make it work. So don't worry about it. Okay, so now I wanted to take a look at the builds, or the build crafting from Filthy. Give me a second. So there we go. We have, this is the World vs. World and PvE version. Let's take a look at it first. So it's a scrapper build that wants to aim. I'm not completely sure, maybe you correct me here if I'm doing something wrong, but I think it's a build that is supposed to fill multiple roles in multiple game modes, and you still can use the same gear set. So as far as I know, it's Celestial, and I think you wanted to run with Balthasar runes. And because Balthasar is very good for a Condi build, because you get a lot of burning duration, you get a lot of Condi damage, that helps a lot. And I think Relic of the Chronomancer is of course a very good choice. Just already I'm saying that's a really good build with Celestial, with Relic of the Chronomancer, because your Gyros, which is really weird, but they are Wells, so they give this proc. So that means you get 4.5 seconds with Celestial in PvE, and I think also in World vs. World. No, it's actually more even. It's 6.25 and 3/4 seconds. So it's actually insane how much quickness you get from this in PvE with all your Gyros. So you have a lot of quickness there already. Celestial makes a lot of sense on a scrapper, just baseline. You have a lot of stats in PvE. I think Celestial is one of the most broken stats if you have any kind of solo content. Let's now take a look at the Spear. I think Spear is always superior. If Hammer, I would say, is a power weapon, and a Celestial weapon, Spear is just a better choice for that, because you have some nice CC, you have leap finisher, and even more nice utility with an evade. You have insane damage with your 2 and your 3. So Spear is just very good. Healing Gyro makes a lot of sense. Super speed, gets really nice water field and weakness, so makes a lot of sense. The Sneak Gyro, I have to be honest, in PvE, I would probably drop the Sneak Gyro and go for Mortar or Supply Crate, because it's just a nice CC, it's a blast finisher and stuff. So typically you probably don't need the quickness from 5 Gyros. I think 4 are way enough to actually do this stuff. So I think that's probably my switch here for PvE, for solo content. It's probably just straight up better. You have your Blast Gyro, which is a nice CG, that makes sense. You have your Bulwark Gyro and you have the Shredder Gyro. Those two I would say are really good for PvE. I'm not sure if I would always take the Blast Gyro. I would, if I need Condi Cleanse, I would swap to Purge Gyro. I think those two make sense. But, and that's the part that you probably noticed already, is that you have no stun break then. So if you're playing PvE, it's okay, you don't typically need a stun break. But if you play in competitive modes, in World vs. World for example, playing without a stun break is most likely one of the worst choices you can make. So that's why the Blast Gyro is actually really good, because the bypass coating is insane. It's a really good F skill. It gives you a break stun, it's a super speed apply, and it has a really low cooldown in PvE. In World vs. World it's higher, but still, yeah. So I think, yeah, it's true, it's also for your allies. That's really good. But I would say the Blast Gyro itself is not crazy good. It depends on the situation. If you don't need Condi Cleanses, then of course it's the best option. If you need Condi Cleanses, you have to make some sacrifices, because I think otherwise you don't have enough Condi Cleanses. With the exception, I know the traits are different, just saying that you can make those switches. What I also want to mention is one of the most broken elixirs that you have is actually Elixir U. It's so good. It's a stun break, it gives you swiftness, it gives you stability, vigor, quickness, it's so good. So sometimes that can be a worthwhile switch, or even Elixir S to get some invulnerability. Just saying, can be helpful as well. Then let's quickly check the traits, because I think the traits make a lot of sense already. So you have a lot of vulnerability application in your traits. You get some nice strike damage increase, you get more power, you get more barrier. It's not that crazy amount of barrier that you get, but you get more power converted to vitality. That makes a lot of sense. Just some more health. And Big Boomer is just insane how much healing you actually get. In PvE, it's like 300 or something per second. It's really good. And I would say it depends a bit how you play, because I feel like if you... Let me check for a second. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would switch actually short fuse instead of glass cannon. In competitive modes, I would probably always do that, because you will probably not use that all the time. 10% buff, or it's not even 10. Is it 10%? Yeah. it's sometimes this is a little bit better. Get more consistent explosions and fury uptime from that. I would say that is probably somewhat more realistic in competitive modes. Then you have Alchemy. Alchemy is extremely strong. It gives you a lot of just passive cleanses, a lot of boon access. You get healing and concentration. It's a really good trade line. I'm not sure. I'm not the biggest fan of those passive 30 seconds procs. I think that's a little bit annoying. But you don't have a lot of choice here. I think these 3 trades are really bad anyway. So that makes sense to some extent because the other 2 are also not working that well. So I would say that's okay. I get that. If you take this one, then you can swap this one to another one. For example, this one, because grant regeneration when you remove a condition from an ally. That can be really helpful because you get more access to regeneration and you have Celestial. So you get actually some decent value from having regeneration and getting some healing there. I think that makes sense, especially in World vs. World when you play that in a Circ. That can help to get some more healing to your allies. And this one helps. Yes, I get that. You get consistent Perma Fury with that. But if you have that, you have also Perma Fury. So doesn't really change too much, I would say. Depends how you want to play. And this is just a very good trade. In World vs. World, it's actually nerfed. It only has, so it has a 3 seconds in ICD. So that's actually quite long ICD, but in PvE, it's 2 seconds. So it's not always up, but most often it's actually working very decently well. So all your condition cleanses are actually converting it to a boon, which is really, really strong. And that's why you get access to regeneration and all the other boons actually if you cleanse the conditions. It's really nice. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think also this makes a lot of sense. There are actually a lot of cool trades here. So HGH is really fun as well if you have a lot of elixirs, and Iron Blooded is also very fun. I think those 3 trades, on the contrast to those 3, are actually all possible. Of course, Purity of Purpose is really strong, but the ICD sometimes, especially in World vs. World, can actually work out really badly. Because, for example, if you have a Condi cleanse that cleanses multiple Condis after one another or cleanses them quite fast, only one of them will be converted. And that's not good. You know, you want something that gives you more value. So you have to have really small cleanses happen every 3 seconds or something. So I'm not completely convinced that this trade is always the best option. I think this one can help you a lot to get even more damage reduction. But yeah. Then this is really good. Of course, super speed. It's really nice for World vs. World. You always want to have super speed and stuff because it's just amazing. Yeah. This is also very good, amazing healing. And then you have Applied Force against ability when you gain Might. And Might grants bonus power. I think that makes sense. But, and this makes only sense if you have this Chronomancer relic. If you don't, you would swap that to Kinetic Accelerators. Because this is just a very broken trade in PvE. In competitive modes, you don't use it because it doesn't provide quickness, but still. This is obviously the right choice. I think overall your trades, except with probably this one, maybe, depends a bit what you want to choose here. I would probably do those changes, those 2. But other than that, I think, yeah, I would completely go with that. It makes a lot of sense. And maybe I would not go with Concentration Schitzel. Maybe I would go for more damage because I'm not sure if you really need 10% here. I think, for example, you could go with Earth Sigil. Or you could go with, yeah, I think Earth makes a lot of sense. Just for a little bit more damage. Inflict bleeding on foes when you crit them. You can, if you want to play it in competitive modes, I think you could also go for Absorption Sigil. Or for foes that have actually boons on them. Because you then steal the boons when you interrupt them. You have some nice CC in your kit, especially with Blast Gyro. That can be really helpful. I think the concentration is not really needed. Especially in World vs. World though, I would probably go with Energy Sigil. Just for the dodge. Getting a dodge is really good. Oh no, never mind. You don't have any swap. So typically, if you run Mortar Kit, then you can do it. But other than that, you can't run Energy. That's actually true. I never play Engineer without a kit. So I guess then Energy is not working. Yeah. It's fine. See you, Echo Fox. See you. Thanks for joining though. So I think overall this makes a lot of sense. I mean, what can I say? It's a really good build. I haven't, let's say, tested it in that sense that I have benched it and see how much it does there. but I think it makes a lot of sense. It's a really good build. Let's take a look at the PvP version. So for the PvP version, you have Savagery and Courage, which is already something that I would probably disagree with. I think PvP is sadly in a spot where every single build that is not playing as a full aggressive willbender, you take Cleansing and Energy. That's the sad truth. You can take Cleansing and Energy just because those two give you the most value. This is very aggressive. I get that. It makes sense in some circumstances. But you're playing Sage. You don't get too much of the 3% damage. And I would say Cleansing and Energy, typically I would say more defense in PvP. That's the way to go. The sigils in PvP are so bad that you typically go for the most defensive options with Cleansing and Energy on almost every build. So that would be my change here. Balthasar, yes, makes sense. Sage Amulet, I would say, is really good for this build. It's like a celestial replacement. It makes a lot of sense. Relic of the Chronomancer is also, of course, makes sense. And the same traits, yeah, makes sense. Especially this one is not working at all. It gives you Fury and not Quickness, so yes, for sure. I'm again not completely convinced if Purity of Purpose is the right choice here, because let's see how many cleanses you have. This is a cleanse, but it's already converting, so you don't need that. And what else cleanses? Every time you use an elixir skull, it cleanses. You don't have too many elixirs. So I would say the problem is you don't have too many cleanses to actually make use out of this Purity of Purpose too often. I think it's a really nice trait, but you don't have too many cleanses to actually make it work. So sometimes I would actually go for Iron Blooded. That's my take here. Yeah. If you run Purge Gyro, maybe it's a little bit different because it cleanses every second one condition. Then that makes a lot of sense with Purity of Purpose. But other than that, you don't have too many cleanses actually. Okay, yeah. And other than that, I think it makes sense. For PvP, I would always go with at least one stun break. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And I guess we can just try it. I think Sneak Gyro in PvP actually makes sense. So, because you want to stealth, the cooldown is really long there, but it makes a lot of sense. The sigil that gets used, that removes movement impairing conditions. How is it called? Escape. Remove movement impairing effects from you. That's a really good sigil. Yeah, I get that. Looney, you're completely right there. That's a really good sigil, but read the second line. The second line says cooldown 18 seconds. That means that you get it every second time, and then it's not worth it. Because that means that every second time you swap weapons, it's actually working. So oftentimes you don't know if it's actually proccing or not, and then you will be stuck on your Immobilize anyway. So the 18 seconds is killing the sigil. Yeah. So, and of course this build doesn't have any way to swap weapons, so I would not go for weapon swap sigils on this build anyway. So that's the sad part here. If you don't run Mortar Kit, then you don't have any way to actually proc the sigils on swap sigils. What's the best way to counter Cutter? Catalyst is really, let's say Catalyst you can counter quite easily and punish them if they play aggressive because they are light armor class and don't have a lot of just sustain in the kit or defensive. So if they go aggressive on you and you have stability, just really press W on them and kill them very fast. No, cleansing doesn't work neither. So you need weapon swap, need a weapon swap. So even cleansing energy doesn't work with that. I can show you how to play against the Catalyst when we meet one in PvP. We play some PvP now and we can check that out. I have a question from YouTube. Is there a way to earn considerable amount of gold without Soto expansion? Especially for a new player who doesn't have any Masters completion. So I have on my YouTube, I have actually quite a lot of gold guides, and I would say most of them are actually not considering Soto content because Soto is actually not really required for gold farming. So I can send you the link if you want to my gold guide, 1 second, where I showcase every single gold farm that I think is really worthwhile to do, and most of them are actually not and I'm really saying not at all connected to Soto. So just check that out, because I mentioned them and I showcased them, and even showcase how much they actually are worth to do per hour. So just check that out. I send it in the YouTube chat. Yeah. Yes, in PvP I would go always with cleansing and energy, and that might be also the reason why I would go for mortar kit here, just so that I get a second weapon to actually proc them. I'm not sure if that's worth it, Filthy, actually, because I think your build makes a lot of sense with the stealth gyro, but I'm not completely sure. And is there a class that is both beginner friendly and can do most of the content using only exotic? I mean, I would say almost any class can play with exotic gear, because ascended gear is only required for fractals. So only if you play fractals you need ascended gear. But so that's the first part. And the second part is there are a lot of classes that are beginner friendly. I would say you should always choose the class that you enjoy the class fantasy the most of, because all the classes can be played quite easily. If you want a dedicated analysis which class you should pick and which you shouldn't, I also have, sorry again for the advertisement, but it's just the truth, I have another video regarding all the classes and showcasing them. Can also send you the link if you want. Sorry that I'm always advertising my content here, but I think it's just sometimes way better to just give you a very nice video where I actually took a lot of effort and put that stuff together than just trying to do it here live on stream, because sometimes it's just I will forget something, I will do something wrong. So just that's the best thing. Yeah, I mean, you could drop one of the gyros for a kit, but I think bomb kit, of course not. Flamethrower, no. Toolkit, I'm not the biggest fan. You have the block there, but all the other stuff is not worth it. So what kit would you choose? Grenade kit is too aggressive. The only kit that you could choose is Elixir Gun. Yes, Elixir Gun has a stun break, that's nice. And it has some nice elixirs here in there. That could work, I would say. Those two skills are actually quite decent because they remove condies. And there's a blast finisher, and that gives a nice heal. So I would say that's probably what I would do, because this is a nice stun break, and you get some value of the purity of purpose with this one, because this one is a cleanse and pulses cleanse, so that's really nice here. So I think that's how I would probably do it. Yeah, I think Elixir Gun makes a lot of sense. I'm still not so I would say Bulwark Gyro makes a lot of sense. I'm not completely sure which last spot, if I would want the Shredder Gyro or if I would go for the Blast Gyro, because the Blast Gyro in PvP is really strong because it's unblockable. So that is a really strong stun that you can use to unblockable stun someone, and of course the second stun break can help a lot. But I think this Shredder Gyro makes a lot of sense because it also gives you some nice daze access and just some more damage. Yeah, I think all of that makes sense. You could also go with the Condi Gyro, but the Condi Gyro, I don't like this field. This is completely useless for the most part because it's applying some poison, but that's about it. You know, it's not a lot of damage. Yeah, so I think we have to try. It depends a bit on what kind of builds we face in PvP to actually make that work. So let's now take a look at PvP. So, what is your favorite open world solo build and why? So my favorite open world solo build, that's a question from YouTube, is probably right now, it's hard, probably my Hammer Catalyst. Or Untamed. I think Untamed is really broken. It's a little bit stronger than Catalyst, but I like to play Catalyst with Hammer because it's such a brain-off build. You just press your buttons and play like a little bit of piano because you are Catalyst after all. You have so many buttons to press, but it's very fun. It's very easy. It will even get buffed in the next balance patch. It's actually really, really strong. Okay, so let's copy the build here. So we want to run Spear. We want to run Spear. We want to run Sage Amulet, like we just had. We want to run Chronomancer. And we had... What did we have here? Balthasar again. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to run Balthasar, to be honest. Maybe, we can try it, but it's very aggressive. Typically in PvP you want to have a little bit more sustain and get maybe Dolyak or something to get more toughness. Because the burning duration is 20%, I'm not sure if that's making the big difference here. But... Oh no. I see Deceit. Interesting. That doesn't happen a lot. Welcome, White. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, maybe I go for the burn. I will test it. Yeah, I will test it. No problem. I like it. I like to have some debates about builds and stuff. So don't worry. It's actually not good. Why am I not loading? I have to maybe restart the game. Give me a second. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Game doesn't want to start. What's the problem here? It's actually insane. Maybe. I never had that before actually, that I can't load into the maps. You see, it doesn't load. Even I restarted it twice now already, but it just doesn't load the map. It doesn't matter which map I'm loading to, it's just not loading. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe that's then, if you had the problem as well, that's actually probably then server side, because it's really weird if it happened to multiple people, because then it's probably not, yeah, network error. What does that even mean? Interesting. Really weird. Yeah, I mean, if you had the same problem from Germany, I mean, maybe they have some problem with their server. I don't know. Sounds weird. Yeah, you had a lot of disease. Well, maybe that's very interesting. Well, very interesting. If multiple people have that, maybe they have to do some crazy. I don't know. I mean, if it fixes itself after 5 minutes, we can wait that. But if it's not working at all, then I don't know. I can't play, I guess. Maybe they invested a lot of time into Guild Wars 3 servers. We don't know. But this sounds really weird. Let me quickly catch up on chat. So if I had to use a Condi build that I use in raiding and solo PvE, that's a question from YouTube, which build would I choose? So the answer here is quite straightforward actually. So the answer here, in my opinion, is I would go with a Condi Reaper. A Condi Reaper with full Viper is extremely strong. It is not the most optimal build. If you min-max, you want to have some grieving pieces in there. But if you're solo build and playing a Reaper, it's extremely strong. With Parasitic Contagion, you can solo almost any boss in the games. That's crazy. And if you play in a group content, you do a lot of damage. 30k DPS. Solo, it's insane. And in a group, it's even higher. It's really, really good. So that would be my pick there. Yeah. So we have a question again from YouTube. Which classes, if any, are suitable to play every most PvE role and mode? Solo, group, PvE, DPS, and support in Celestial Gear. In Celestial Gear. I mean, in Celestial Gear, you always have to be careful because Celestial Gear typically makes you the tank. So if you're in a raid scenario, then you will lose some value because you might get the tank, and then it's a little bit annoying. But I would say Celestial Firebrand makes a lot of sense because you can be a support Quickness Firebrand, you can be even a healer, you can be a DPS, you can be solo. I think Firebrand is probably the best in that sense because you get so much value from Celestial, and you can even use it in World versus World if you wanted to. So it's actually really flexible. So my answer here would be probably Guardian with Firebrand. Yeah. Yeah, maybe the build was the reason. It was, you know, it applied too much burning and it cooked my whole thing here, my whole connection. I mean, I will try it in 2 minutes again, but for now we'll just talk, I guess. Maybe. I mean, it could be that the new expansion is the reason that they really want to do some reworking. But we never had it before that ArenaNet had to shut down the servers. I think we only had it once that they did the rollback. But other than that, we never had anything that was related to the servers that they actually had to take them down or anything. So I'm not sure what they are doing in the background, but it's affecting me. That much is for sure. Simmer, should I delete my Thief char since I don't like it? I would say it depends. If you don't have a character slot for a new character, then, and you really want to play a Thief, then maybe you should delete it. But be aware though, if you have characters for very long, you get very huge amount of birthday presents in the future that can be really good. They are worth more than 100 gold or something if you just keep your character for a long while. So in the end, it's probably just more worth it to get a new slot, character slot, and play a different character on the new slot than rather than deleting it. Yeah. So it depends a bit how much you hate it, so to say. If you really want to delete it because you want to get the spot for someone else, that might be the way. But if you are not that, let's say, you just have the option to go for another slot, then I would go that way. That's my suggestion here. Okay, so let's try it again. So, World vs. World Firebrand Full Minstrel will work as a support in raid strikes and fractals too? Yes, it will. It's actually quite decent in that way. But you have to be aware, if you are playing Full Minstrel, you're always the tank. So if you're playing raids and something, you will always be the tank if the boss is toughness based. Okay, I think it works again. Yes, there we go. Weird. So weird. Yeah. So I would say Minstrel is not the best option. Harrier is better because then you are flexible. You can be the tank, but you don't have to. Minstrel is the more safe if you don't want to swap your gear all the time. Yeah. Okay, so we were going for a build craft. So we had this one. We had the Bullrug Gyro, Sneak Gyro, and probably maybe Perch Gyro? I don't know. Depends on the condis of the enemy team. And then we had Spear. It's actually interesting. It reset my selection here. So I was already DCing before that, I guess. Chronomancer. And here, Balthasar. Very good. And then Energy and Cleansing is just the most superior option if you run with Alexagon. And then if you have that many cleanses, you can actually also go for Purity of Purpose, because then that will proc when you swap weapons. So that's actually a really good option here. Then we had this trait, and this trait. Very good. We had explosions. We had something like this. I would probably go for that one. I don't know, depends a bit. This can also be worth it actually if you're an Alexagon all the time. I think I would probably, Filthy, I would probably go for this trait, because when you gain swiftness or super speed, you also gain vigor. That makes it's a lot of, it's very worth it. You get a lot of vigor. Vigor is very strong. It's one of the most underrated boons that you get in PvP because it can dodge more often. So I think that's probably an adjustment that I would do, because that means if you, for example, use any gyro you get with a 10-second ICD, you actually get vigor too. That's really helpful. So much vigor to keep you sustained and dodging. So that's probably the adjustment I would do here. Okay, let's try that. Let's try that. I'm really excited to see how it plays. Is there a way to prevent skills like Spear 5 on Engineer from teleporting you to the center of bosses like Fire Elemental? So the best way to do that is if you use your, like I just did, use your cursor and move it across over your health bar or any UI element, and then you will cast your skill on top of you always. So that can be really interesting. So that can be helpful in bosses that you don't want to move into the hitbox or you just want to stand still. That is a very important tip. So if you have some kind of movement skill involved into a kit that is targetable, then you should always do that. Yes, I think in PvP especially, but in all game modes, this trait is really bad. So this trait gives you 30 seconds of an ICD and you get protection. You should never rely on minus 33% incoming damage every 30 seconds, which you can't control. That will be passively happening. And getting Vigor consistently, let's say an uptime of almost 50%, if you don't get stripped, it's actually really good. So Vigor, 50% more dodges, makes you invulnerable to some extent, 50% more, if you see it like that. With Vigor, it's actually really good. So never underestimate how much value you get from Vigor. It's the single-handedly carrying, for example, Power Mirage, the defensive of Power Mirage. The Vigor uptime is so important for that build that it's really underestimated how broken Vigor is by itself. It's really, it's crazy. Yeah. Another question from YouTube: how does Guardian Spear feel to you? I can't get comfortable with the charge on the second. Yeah, I think the second skill is really bad. I don't like the cast of it. It's also really annoying to use because it feels so slow. I'm not a big fan. I think Guardian Spear, I just play it because it's so strong. I think it's, in my opinion, only carried by the brokenness of the spear. I would not play the spear if I had to choose a weapon. Yeah, I think it's not as fun as Greatsword in my opinion. So that's my take. Thanks, Caspian. Thanks. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm trying to build now and let's see how well I'm performing. I'm not, let's say, by any means a very broken engineer player or something. I'm also not very, let's say, I'm not the highest rated player anyway, so let's see how it goes. I mean, I guess we have interesting team comp. Okay. So they have probably at least 2 Condi. So I guess Purge Gyro is probably better for more Condi glances. Nice. You did some roaming montage. I'm happy to see the video. Yeah. Please share. Okay, so if that's a support chrono, we actually have an interesting team comp. So really, please bear with me here a bit. I'm new to this build. It's a really big cook by one of my viewers, so don't expect too much here. React stream? Yeah, maybe we should do that. Let's finish this match and then we can check it out later. Okay. What I don't like is that I don't have any block. So for example, the hammer would be really cool because of the block. Yeah, if I used my stealth gyro too early, I will not be able to actually get there. Yeah. Holy shit, he dodged. He's a pro. My DPS is apparently not that good, I have to admit. So let's see how many cleanses I actually get with this. It's actually crazy how many cleanses the Chronomancer and I have. I mean, it's interesting how much cleanses and healing I have, but I feel like the damage is a little bit lackluster. I think the spear is not carrying me enough to actually make that work. I feel like I'm missing some range DPS. That's what I'm feeling like. Yeah. 3, 2, 5, 2. You can insert 4 in the meantime to be sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not an engineer main. I have to try that. But this match looks cursed already. Maybe even if I played a build that I could be better on, I think that's still not a good match to showcase this build anyway. They already gave up here. Oh, come on. Can't get some 1-on-1s now. Ah, come on. Classical PvP experience. And then someone flaming in French in the chat. sounds like a very typical PvP experience in Guild Wars 2 in ranked. Oh, that's sad. Very sad. I can't try the build. Yeah, maybe it's because they want to keep it a secret. Yeah, I don't like it if people really go AFK after the first fight or first lost fight. I think that's really bad. I don't like that, because oftentimes people just don't know what the build is, get bursted or whatever, and you just want to make sure that you really don't have a chance. Then you can go AFK maybe, yeah. But before that, I would never go AFK actually. Nice. Is that a comeback? No, joking. We got points, that's good. Yeah, PvP is always, if you don't like any toxic behavior or anything, then you should not actually. It's test fire. Okay, I mean, it's an interesting matchup anyway. So, in my opinion, you should play PvP if you enjoy the combat, if you want to have fun, if you want to get better at the game, but you should not play it if you are offended very easily, if you don't like toxic behavior and that kind of stuff, because in PvP it's just often the case that you just wait 5 minutes to get a match, then you go into a match, you get stomped like this, and you have a match that you can't do anything, 10 minutes, and then after that you have to wait 5 minutes again. So oftentimes PvP can be quite frustrating. I can see that, yeah. I mean, I see why this build can be fun. I have to be honest, I think you have to train a lot to actually make the spear worthwhile. Because I think the spear is a very strong weapon. If you look at Hollow or something, that play that spear very well. But I personally think having no ranged option for DPS makes you in PvP, especially in the new meta, actually quite, I don't know. I think I like to have some ranged options. I mean, I think PvP, a lot of people are taking way too seriously in Guild Wars 2, and they are just way too toxic and stuff. I personally don't engage in that anything. I just ignore all those toxic comments because, I mean, it doesn't help anyone just if I get some discussion going here. But yeah, Mesmer Spear is still broken, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, I get that. I think PvP is not for everyone, and I think the community in Guild Wars 2 that plays actively PvP is actually very, very, very small. I think... I don't know. Mesmer Spear is bad. Coming from a Mesmer main? Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. Yeah, it's really good. I mean... Yeah. Core engine main now. Very interesting. Okay, let me check out 1 second. I'm not sure if I can show everything on screen, Caspi, there, if I would show the whole video. Core engineer main. I see. I see the rival place. Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure if I want to take the risk here, if I show it on stream and then something happens after that as well. Okay. Let me check. I will watch a bit and see if there's something. I mean, I like actually the theory crafting of a core engineer. I think that's something that I really enjoy, because people are actually now getting to know how much value you actually get from the tool-based skills and how much you can actually get value from playing a core engineer. Yeah, it's a fun video. I mean, I would recommend you, if you enjoy to play to see some engineer. That's a fun video for sure. It's even copyright free. I mean, if you're really, let's say, if you're honest, we can do some React content here on stream. If you're really honest about it. I don't want to get banned here on Twitch for something. Yeah. Are there any Ranger build videos coming for PvP World Wars? Yes, I'm currently working on an Untamed build for PvE, actually. An easy PvE Untamed, because Untamed is very scary. It has a lot of buttons, and I want to make it not that scary. I want to make an easy build guide for it. Yeah. Welcome, Philip. Yeah, I'm good so far. I'm very good. I'm having trouble roaming in World vs. World against Druids and Catalyst. Which class can counter them, and any other tip to deal with them? So Catalyst is, if you play against a Catalyst, you can play up, for example, Necromancer is extremely strong against Catalyst. You can play Celestial Harbinger or Power Harbinger. Those are really good. You can play a Willbender if you want. It's more aggressive, but it's not as good against the Druid, for example. Against the Druid, I would say typically a Celestial Harbinger is quite good against the Druid. You can corrupt their boons, you can survive against them, you have a lot of Bondi cleanses. Or Power Harbinger. Harbinger and Channel is probably the best against those. Yeah, I guess after this match we can watch this video, I guess, or we can already watch it. Let's be nice. Let's do some React content. Give me a second to set it up. So there we go. I hope we don't get any toxic stuff. I will leave the music, if that's fine for you, Caspi, to mine, just to make sure, because I know mine is definitely not any license issues. And now let's take a look at it. Some core engineer with rival. I like the Moa. I mean, the Moa is just it feels so good if you get the knockback into the Moa. Very disgusting. I like it. I mean, it's also the core engineer 101. I mean, oof, the rival. But if you see the rockets flying, you know there's something interesting going on. I like the rival 5 hits. I mean, they nerf it now actually, don't they? In the next balance patch. It's a really nice 101. I like this. It's content. I mean, you should do that on stream actually. With voice, please. That's how you should do it. Yeah. Paid actor. Yeah, I mean I like the memes in there. I like the memes in there. Ooh, if the Moa hits, against the Willbender, I like it. I like it. And against the Thief. That's actually that was a disgusting Moa. Against the Thief, hitting the Moa, feels very good. Oh, the blind. Was it? I think it was the scout that blinded you there. Ooh. Nice. Mid-fight inventory management. That's how we do it. Yeah, I like it. I like it. You see, Harbinger, you know, this guy is not playing very well, actually, the enemy. But Harbinger is hard carrying here. So you see how tough of a matchup that is for Caspi. Just because Harbinger is so broken. You know, the passive corrupts, the just range pressure, the quickness they have. You know? And the Moa actually is not helping against the Shroud in that way. So it's actually... It's a really tough matchup. So, well played for sure. So close. Oof. Crazy. Nice. I guess Willbender is a matchup that can go both ways. If they hit the burst on you, it's probably over. But you have to block, that helps a lot, I guess. Harbinger is very viable in PvE. It's one of the best DPS for fractals in Condi fractals. It's really, really good. I mean, if you play Willbender very well, typically Willbender is extremely strong in 101s because they have so much damage. But this guy was farmed by you, easy. I like the Windows stuff. Good. Ooh, nice. And the rage quit, easy. I like it. Maybe they also had the pop, you know. Maybe they also had the pop. Yeah, very good. The map Q pop, because it is really good. That's the spear. Spear is not broken. Spear is not broken. Watch this and tell me spear is not broken. Mirage. I like Mirage. I really like to watch really good Mirage players. I think Mirage is disgusting. 1v3 on a power Mirage. Deluxe. Very nice. Ooh, that was a disgusting combo. Crazy. Very good. I mean, they aligned there perfectly. I mean, what are they doing? I mean, if it works, Mirage is really fun, but if it doesn't work, it feels very frustrating because you're so squishy, you can get one-shot so easily. I think Mirage is a very... You should never play Mirage if you think this is how Mirage looks like. It's not. You have to learn it first. Please, please. Yeah, almost like my escape. Very good, you got them. Very nice, very nice. Perfect. Yeah, Filthy already told us. Char is the meta for World vs. World. Yeah, I guess he's right, I guess. Very nice. Oh, the banner. That's when you know you play against very good players, if they put both banners on no dead body. Okay, very good. Nice. Banner for might. Yeah, I guess that's what the thought process was there. But I have to be honest, I'm not sure if that's the winning play. Yeah, I think Mirage is one of the hardest classes to play in every game mode, actually. If you, at least if you play, you know, not some kind of AFK Mirage where you just spam your ambush on staff or something. You want to play something that is actually like this. You have a lot of burst. You have some kind of thought put into it. And Mirage is actually one of the hardest classes to master, at least. Yeah, for sure. I think it's also one of the hardest classes to get into, because you have to really take advantage of your aggressive dodge, but at the same time not over commit too much. So you see it perfectly here. If Caspi gets the burst, it's crazy. But if he doesn't, it's very deadly if the enemy actually engages on the Mirage without a dodge. It's actually, you get punished very, very hard. How many people are there? At least 2, 3, 4. What are they doing there? Okay. I guess they are watching or whatever. That's good. They are just standing there. Very nice. I like it. Ooh, greatsword burst. Someone mentioned greatsword is not good in World vs. World. You see the difference here. It's good. You can make a lot of damage. It's really nice. Nice. I like the outnumbered situations that you get. Very nice. At least you get some players. Very good interrupt on the Shade Winds. This guy didn't hit anything yet. No, just died. Nothing hit. Very good. I like it. Why do you get so many players? When I roam, I don't see anyone, you know? I'm happy when I get an occasional 1-on-1, but I don't get any outnumbered situations anymore. It's so sad. Nice. It's luck. I don't know. Yeah, Mirage with Spear is really good. I think the problem with Mirage Spear, or general Mesmer Spear, is that, for example, I think that the 5 of Spear hits multiple times with the stun is broken. This is just generally insane. And I also think the Spear on Mirage is okay if you have a spec that is very hard to play. But on Chronomancer and stuff, I think the Spear should not be run on a support build. I think that should not be possible. Nice. I like the without UI. I think that's very nice. I mean, I guess what I would really dislike about no UI would that I couldn't see how many conditions I have and what kind of gameplay I need to actually do to be safe here. I think the damage is actually, you can do the damage without UI, but defensive gameplay is a little bit hard. I like it. I mean, of course Caspi is a pro. I mean, what do you expect from a monthly AT winner, you know? Nice. Okay. I'm interested in the North Camp incident. Sounds dubious. So Caspi doesn't have any stun break here, so you have to play really careful against 2 people. If you get stunned here, you might die. That's a very play either really aggressive or really defensive. I think so far it works out well. Nice damage hits, very good. And of course those people come back. That's the classic. That's the classic. Losing a 1v2 and coming back for more. Ooh, again bursted by the shatter ambush. Doesn't look good. I mean, Mirage likes the enemy guards, so you get energy back. That's actually really good here. And the third time is the charm, maybe. Nice. Okay. What are they doing? You just run into you one after the other so that they can get the fair one-on-ones, I guess. What? Oh, Scrapper. Nice. Where can you read the balance preview? I can send you the links in a second. Let's just finish watching this. This is actually very entertaining, Caspi. Good job on that. I like it. Ooh, Condi Viva is scary against the Mirage for sure. Nice. I'm not sure if you can actually win the 1-on-1 against the decent Condi Viva. Probably not. They have too much passive damage and evades. Because the burning will kill you after a while, I guess. And now there are actually 3 people. So that might be a little bit scary. I mean, this guard is getting farmed 24/7. It's actually insane. Nice. Oh, they're building a ballista. That's the only way to counter you, I guess. Yeah, I guess. Very interesting. Okay. Okay. Where's the elementalist? Is building the ballista. It's not okay. Ignoring his teammate. That's how you do it. Looks like a classical PvP trap guy. Very interesting. Total fight time 9 minutes. Enemies killed 12. Francis lost. Ah, nice. Very good. Very good. Nice. I like it. I like it. The ballista was crazy. I liked the ballista. The ballista was something that I really enjoyed. Just ignoring the enemy and the ally there fighting, just building a ballista. That's how you do it. For my mediocre PvP world versus world experience, there are 2 types of Mirage players. 1, you kill them in one go. 2nd, you're dead and do not understand how you died so quickly. Yeah, that's true. I mean, either you know how to play Mirage or you don't. Mirage is broke in the hands of someone that can use it. And it's really bad. It's really, really bad in the hands of someone that doesn't know how to use it. It's actually insane. It was at 99%. Oh, that's too bad. And then they would, of course, kill you, you know. Yeah. Thanks for sharing the video. It was really fun. Yeah. So, I wanted to send you the balance pad review. 1 second. So here we go, I send it in YouTube chat. Okay. No. Let's try this build one more time and then let's go to some other real build that I can play and not suck at. Yeah. Filthy, don't be sad here. I think this build is actually decent. It's not a meta build or anything, but I think you can make it work in ranked. But I'm just not very good at it. That's the sad part. I don't like to play builds that that I'm not good at. I mean, makes sense. You have to learn it first, but I really like to go try hard on a build and don't play a build just for fun. I want to be decent at it and actually know how to do it actually decently well. Okay. As always, I try to comment on my gameplay here, but in PvP sometimes you have to concentrate a bit more to actually not die. So I can't promise you to explain everything I want to do here. So on this map it's really good if you are fast. So for example on this map, if you're playing something slow like a Hammer Catalyst, you are very sad because the map is so big, you want to go to the objectives sometimes. So this can be really annoying. But okay, where is the enemy team? Oh, I guess there. Ooh. Oops. I wanted to help my teammate, but nice, my gyro got the stomp. That's what we like. Okay, looks. Actually, this time it looks way better, this build. I mean, it's obviously way worse players, but still. Yeah, it's really nice with the gyro is. I like the gyro gameplay. That's why I like Scrapper and PvP in general. I think you have a lot of tools in your arsenal. That's something that helps a lot, I would say. Oof, the damage burst is actually quite nice, I have to say. Kill. Nice, we got it. This match is way more unfair in the other direction, I guess. Yeah, that's just how PvP goes, I guess. Help my teammate. Oh, sneaky, sneaky. Oof. That was close, I have to admit. I guess he's dead again. No, I can't rest that. I tried to cast the gyro there, but at some point you have to stop it and they die faster. That's just the truth here. Okay, I'm not dead yet. That's good. Okay. Got the kill. Now I will push far and help my teammate, I guess. Ooh. Ugh. Please let me live. Nice, I survived. How did I survive that? It's actually not even funny. The force skill is actually so hard to hit in PvP, it's actually insane. Nice. It's actually a fun build. I really like it actually. It's really fun. I mean, this is obviously not a fair match. My damage is not that high, but my healing is actually quite decent, I have to admit. Nice, I hit the force skill. I like it a lot actually. Nice. Everyone dead. That's what we like. At least in Guild Wars 2. Come on. Condi Thief and a Condi Scrapper against one person is a bit annoying, I have to admit. So one thing that you can do, if I don't know if you noticed that, but you can do that. If you want to do your jump on your elixir gun and you want to cancel the jump, so you just want to get this first hit down, you can cast it and instantly weapon swap, and you will still cast it and you will get the jump and the damage, but without the really big jump back that can help in a lot of situations. So you can't cancel the really long jump that you maybe don't want to do. So this one here, you can cancel that if you just swap and drop the bundle with your weapon swap. That can be really helpful. So it's a really fun build. I actually like it. It's really nice. So I show it here. So I want to go in this direction, but don't want to jump a lot. Then I will just use that and I can stop it before the jump happens, but after I will cancel the attack. So this happens. Perfect. I didn't move a lot. Can help a lot in some situations. But now let's play some Willbender, I guess, or maybe some support Tempest, whatever we actually see fit in the current match that we get. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks, YT, by the way, for the donation. Really appreciate it. Okay. So Willbender in the current match in ranked and stuff is still very, very strong. But in competitive play, especially with the consistent nerf to it, I would say it's not as good as it was before. So it's not a broken build anymore, I would say, Willbender. Especially the spear one. Yeah, I mean, maybe I have to be honest about the build. I think this build is a very good build to start playing Scrapper in all game modes. So I think this is a build that works. I have to test it in PvE, but I think it works very well in a solo scenario as well. So I think that can be a really good build for people that are looking to learn one build that they can use in multiple game modes. So I think that's a very nice video actually I could do in the future. So just playing this build in PvP as some kind of not meta pick, but a decent pick. Playing that same build in World vs. World as a roamer, maybe even in a Zerg because you have some very nice support there. Or playing it in PvE as some kind of solo build, maybe even in a group, when you want to maybe group, maybe it's a little bit harder. You would swap one trait to get some quickness to your allies. But other than that, I think this build is actually very versatile, and I really like builds like that because people are often looking for something, especially new players, that they can stick to and play in every single game mode and every single situation. So I think that can help a lot there. So thanks for sharing it, Filthy. Yeah. Welcome back, Echo Fox. Welcome. You were actually quite fast. Now you missed the really nice theory crafting with Filthy and me. But it's fine. I guess you can, if you really wanted to see it, you can also watch the YouTube VOD or the Twitch VOD. I mean, the interesting part here is the build is actually quite versatile in what it can do. It can be a support, it can be some damage dealer. I really like that idea. But now I play some build that I can be a little bit better on. It's just so that the people in stream see me as someone that actually is not completely garbage at playing PvP. That's also one of the biggest things that's really interesting for you. That if I wanted to start a different, let's say, if I wanted to play a different game on stream, that would be one of my biggest problems that I had, would be that I'm not very accustomed to the game, that I'm not very good at it and can't explain what I'm doing. I would be so concentrated on stuff and would still fail at it that I'm not sure if I would ever stream a game that I'm not very good at it, you know? I think it's way more interesting for people to watch someone that actually knows what they are doing, at least in my opinion. I mean, maybe you find it really funny if I play a game that is somewhat easy and I'm completely failing at it because I don't know how to play it. But for now, Guild Wars 2 is way more intriguing to me because I actually know what the game is actually all about and stuff. Okay, I have to check what they have. Oh, come on. Is this Goku? No, it's Dosei. Come on. What is this? So many good players. Gonna be an interesting matchup. I think we need some more damage. We don't have any damage if I don't play Willbender, I have to be honest. Have I ever thought about a donation goal next 1000 Blackline chest key opening? I have to be honest. I think that one of the worst ways to actually spend the donations. But maybe. No, I don't want to fight against Strasse, please. No. Oh, come on. I think maybe I could do that. There's some kind of donation goal. It would be more like a follower goal or something that I don't want to do a donation goal like that because it's more like I get content out of that anyway. So, and I would probably never get enough money to actually do that because keys are actually not that cheap, I have to say. 1000 keys, that's quite a lot of money. So. Okay, Drasse is playing Rival or something with the power thingy. I guess I have to help this guy. Oh, come on. That's sad. Very sad. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I mean, that's a good point, actually. Of course, people like to watch people that are more interesting, more entertaining to watch than just people that are very good at something. But I think it helps. So if I'm good at playing something, then probably people will join me, even though they want to. So you want to have both in the ideal world. That's what I'm saying. So you can see my gameplay is still not very good, even though if I'm playing Willbender. I mean, 4 people against Rosé, that's how you do it, I guess. Let him bleed, please. Let him bleed, let him bleed, let him bleed. Come on. And he's up. Please. Okay. That balance patch is sad for World vs. World. They're nerfing all the DPS. The already immortal Zergs will stand on each other, staring until one be bored and give up. I hope not. I hope that's not the case, but it could be. I think they're nerfing so much stuff that is probably helping the game mode to be less insane in that sense. I don't know. Yeah, I would agree. I'm not completely happy with the direction they take World vs. World currently. My teammate is capping. That's actually, I like it. I didn't even rally. What? But I had the signet on the ground and it didn't rally? What? What is happening? Am I... What? Do you see that? I didn't really from this guy, even though I fought him for 1 minute. Interesting. What would you say is the easiest Guardian spec aside from Core Guardian Hammer? They are all way harder than Core Guardian. That's the truth here. Okay, we got Brassé. Okay. Yeah, I think actually Willbender is decently easy. I think Willbender is probably the best choice there. I mean, Dragon Hunter is also not too hard, but I think Willbender is a little bit easier. Yeah, I would go for Willbender. At least in PvE, Willbender is actually not that hard. It's actually not lost yet, the match. It's still not completely lost, but... I try my best. Let him bleed. I mean, Willbender is very fast-paced, that's true. If you don't like that fast-paced playstyle, then Willbender is not necessarily an easy pick. That's probably true. They got me. So sad. If you're so good at will bender, can you show us how you can bend your will? I'm actually not that good. I can't bend my will yet. So maybe I can in the future, but currently you see I'm losing the match, so I'm not very good at it. I still have to learn it. I mean, my team is going for beast and this, I mean, what are they actually doing here? Going for beast and capping? No, come on. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to give you a legend answer because you asked a legend question, didn't you? 100 points. I mean, we can still win. We can still win. It's not lost. Yeah, I guess that's true. You actually want to bend the will of the opponent. That's probably the correct interpretation of that name. Yes, you're correct there, I guess. Okay, this guy is emote. And now he's dead, but we lost the map for that. I think we can't come back. Okay, he's out of berserk mode, so I think we can now kill him. Oh, he's back in. How fast does he get that back up? It's actually insane. Crazy. I did not expect that, to be honest. That was 10 seconds or something of the cooldown and he instantly get back up. Crazy. Sad. I mean, it's probably still lost the game. Or even though we had the possibility here, but my team still didn't. And I played very bad here too, so. Yeah, that's sad. I mean, worth a try. Worth a try. I hate this bug. It's really weird. That you leave the match and you instantly go back. It's so weird. It's so weird. So I think that's enough for today. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, be sure to check out my YouTube as well. I have some nice content there. Thanks all for watching. It was fun. I hope you had some fun too. And see you around. Hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks everyone.